Okay, trustees, we are live. We are recording. Phone lines are open. Go for it.
Okay. Welcome everybody to the regular trustees meeting of September 12th, 2022. And I'd like to open the pledge of allegiance.
With the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
She's upstairs. Okay. Not gonna be, but she's gonna be on Zoom. All right, well, why did we roll call? John Aldridge? Here. Tim Darnell? Here. Ben Dollinger? Bill Taylor? Here. Here. Mike Martinson. And David Keller. Susan McGraw. Cheever.
Here.
All right, thank you. All right, we'll start with public comment. Okay, David Church.
I'm the applicant's attorney on 40 Acres Bank. I'm here for that later. Take your questions.
Rick? Yep. You want to come up? Sure.
Now, this isn't public comment, right? This is on the Crane property?
I don't have anyone else listed. Did you want to address the board? I know PG. I'm sorry, no, I know PG. Fine. Also, that's true. Okay, well, she stepped out, so go ahead.
Okay, I won't be long. Richard Whalen, attorney for Cindy Crane, 864 Springs Far Place Road. This relates to the floating dock and catwalk out there.
Okay.
We processed a lot of information the last couple of working days. I talked to Scott Wilson, Department of Land Management. My associate, Madeline Narvalis, talked to the town attorney's office. I spoke today to your counsel. What was that? Yes, a lot of talking. It was a lot of talking. One of the big issues appears to be that depending on how the town frames its ownership and its boundaries of its property, we could be part of our structure might be on town reserved area, which is actually a town nature reserve. That nature reserve was acquired by the town by a donation from the developer of the property, a woman named Cynthia Fay Wilder, who subdivided this in 1978. But when she bought the property, before she bought the property, there was an easement that she basically granted back to the Talmadge family, who were the sellers. And that easement allows for access to the water, actually allows vehicle access, vehicle turnaround, a lot of potential activity. And it's not very far away from where our dock is right now. So it's basically been suggested that for legal reasons and also some environmental reasons, the depth of the wetlands is narrower there, shorter. To get to the water, that we should explore moving the dock and the catwalk, because we do feel that we need a catwalk to get to the dock, that we should explore moving that a little bit to the east. And I don't have enough information to say definitively commit ourselves to that, but I will commit that we want to look into that. And so I would like to table what is presently before that while we explore the possibility of, relocating the dock and catwalk to a position that hopefully would be more acceptable to the town and to the trustees.
That was the easement that had the 50-foot turnaround at the end of it.
Yes, at least 50 feet. Yeah, at least 50 feet wide. It shows on the application. It shows on the survey, I believe.
Okay, so at this point, we'll wait to hear back.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be as soon as 2 weeks. It'll might take a little longer than that, but when we have that information, we'll come back and maybe we'll be able to change things around.
Right.
Have any dialogue with individuals, feel free to reach out.
Thank you. I'll do that. Okay, all right, sir. Good night.
Francis, I believe that we have Peconic Estuary Partnership. Dr. Joyce Novak, is that you? There you go. Who was going to be in public comment. So she just happened to walk in a couple of minutes late.
Apologies. Hi. Thank you very much for having me tonight. I just want to make a general public comment. The trustees had submitted 3 priority projects upon request to Peconic Estuary Partnership. We're going through a series of reaching out to all our local government partners because we have money under the infrastructure law coming to us, and we want to understand what everybody's priorities are. So I just want to address each of those projects so I can keep you up to date on where that stands. I know Trustee Aldrich and Margot Kieber are very involved in our committees, and so I just wanted to sort of return the favor and come and give you a quick update. So one of the requests was for Aguabana Harbor. I know this has been an ongoing effort by the town with the mosquito larvae project and the town of East Hampton staff and the Nature Conservancy. And PEP worked with Suffolk County to get $100,000 in capital funds dedicated to the conceptual design of this area. And it remains, Aguabana Harbor wetland restoration remains one of our top priorities for restoration. So that will definitely remain on our list. We won't have an idea of cost until we go through the conceptual design process. It's a site that at this juncture, and there is another update meeting tomorrow, but at this juncture, real heavy construction and infrastructure work might not be required, if it's taken in sort of pieces to return the hydrology to what it needs to be, but that it does remain a high priority for us. And it's in our habitats plan, it's in our conservation management plan, and that it is definitely something when the concept plan is finished, we'll do a review of cost and see what we can contribute to that. I mean, I don't think we have enough money to fully fund that, but certainly are dedicated to assisting in getting grants, finding grants, and finding a way forward to complete that high priority wetland restoration. The second project was Napeague Harbor. That also was in our habitat committee for several years. There was a concept done a couple of years ago. And that project is still in the habitat plan. There is a high price tag for that, and I know that needs to be revisited. And that has to go back to our habitat committee for reassessment because it's part of that plan. So for this sort of first round of reviewing things that would likely be funded with infrastructure money or with more immediate funds, that's going to go back to a committee for review, sort of what do we really need to do here, and the best ways forward. And the third one was the drone survey. And I understand that either you've already started this or you really want to have this started quickly. And my fear is that while that's definitely a priority, ground truthing that, and yes.
On that, we'll recognize that our needs in terms of the timeline and process that you guys would have to put this through probably made better sense for us just to pay for that work out of pocket. And, maybe our efforts might be better placed on something like Napeague Harbor. Now, with respect to Napeague Harbor, is it possible to sit down with the players here, yourselves, New York State Parks, Fish and Wildlife, Army Corps, and the county, and see one, the individual agencies' interest in the project, individual agencies' interest perhaps financially, and what kind of path forward we could have as far as putting a project together, one by design, and also getting it through the permitting process. Because I think that for me, and I think I'm not the only one, that's something that's clearly valuable to this community. I mean, we've got that Harbor, it's the cleanest saltwater body on Long Island, yet we can't reliably grow scallops in it. A lot of that seems to be related to temperature that the harbor gets at various times of the year. And how can we mitigate that?
So I think that's something I can easily agree to. I mean, the estuary program is here to help facilitate exactly that. So
what I can offer at this juncture, maybe instead of going back to our committees and following that, is to start organizing a meeting. We recently hired Barry, who's our natural resources program manager, who would be looking at something like this. And we can get all of those players to the table and start meetings rolling to see sort of maybe what the state and the county and what might be required. You're spot on with saying, you know, if you're going to need a state permit, they should be at the table from the beginning so we can understand what.
Yeah, there's different facets, you know, everybody should probably have some viable interest in this project. Certainly the trustees' permit is to help in well-being of our water bodies. State parks has a vested interest because their land borders this. Fish and Wildlife, I have spoken to at some point. They have a real interest for the fact that Hicks Island used to be a pretty significant breeding ground for least terns and gulls. But since that area has become essentially a peninsula off of Gough Point, it's predated by everything from feral cats to possums, raccoons, fox, and I don't think there's a chick been reared on that island in years. You know, so I think everybody has an interest. We have reached out to the homeowner community in the area. The homeowners at the south end of Nappy Harbor have real interest and have expressed an interest financially in this project to improve the water quality of the areas in front of their houses. There are homeowners on the north shore of Lazy Point area that have also expressed an interest financially because in all likelihood they would be the recipients of the sand that would be dredged out of there. So I think there's a lot of symbiosis between the players here that if we could get everybody in a room and have a good dialogue and get some direction on this, then through the permitting process, we could be working towards how we can fund this, you know, in various.
This is going to have a storm mitigation component. There's an awful lot of, you know, there's a lot of people interested in this. We can get, it's going to be an expensive project. If we can get a bunch of co-sponsors, it's doable.
yeah, I mean, and I'm not
Staying away from an expensive project at all. I mean, not at all. And I would absolutely be happy to get everybody together and facilitate this project.
Well, how soon can you get me the list of people you think should be in the room? And I can, so do not, I will also say, and I will provide
updated contact details for us. The Suffolk County server has been out of commission since Thursday, so we are not receiving any emails or we're having communication trouble. So
Discreetly write your cell number on a piece of paper and hand it to me. I can text that over to you.
Yeah, that's fine. And once we understand who to
that, we can start giving them the background information that we have on the project and get everybody together to start moving forward. Absolutely.
Joyce,
yeah.
Given that these Aguabana and the Nappy projects are large projects requiring probably a lot of time to plan and permit and fund. And my understanding of your three priorities in order to sort of perhaps make some funding available relatively quickly from the infrastructure program would with the drone, I mean, the drone is a relatively small amount of money. And it's something that, as Jim said, we are undertaking funding ourselves. And, we were thinking, rather than just, completely pay for that ourselves, in lieu of waiting for these large projects to come along, would it be possible to, have that project be reimbursed, have us be reimbursed for the drone survey as we're moving forward with the NAPEG and the Aguabana projects?
So it's the reimbursement
Point that becomes problematic because we are subject to both Stony Brook University procurement policy, and all of this infrastructure money is federal dollars, right? So I don't have the ability to go back and say, I want to reimburse somebody for a cost that was incurred prior to committee approvals and these steps that we have to take. That's the piece that unfortunately can't align for us. And it is unfortunate because that's something that is a priority for us also. That ground truthing this information has been a priority. And now that we finally have these funds coming, it has been on our list for the whole estuary to do this work. I cannot go back to funds spent prior to our process and provide a reimbursement in that way.
Well, try to make the information available to you no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, and
there's nothing I can do about the processes that are in place on both of those sides. But certainly if I know your drones are looking at just at docks, the full ground truthing will look at everything, not just that, and you'll be provided with that information.
The drones pick up everything. The bulkhead and stuff. That's all important. If we want to verify all of that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So do we.
Our project's not going to cover mine.
Okay.
But it will at least be a nice base for the permitted docks that we have and other docks that are there. We'll have at least a base for this summer and this year, which I think is very important, and I'm very excited about having the drone go to work. So I wanted to mention one thing which you have brought up, Joyce, about the conceptual design concept, just to remind everyone, in case you'd like me to email you again. The public is invited. Anyone who wants to attend tomorrow, Dr. Nicole Marr will be hosting by Zoom the SMART teams. They're returning to join us with their conceptual design concept, and that is from 10 to 12. So I'll send out that email again with Zoom contact. So if you'd like to attend, I can do that again for everybody. I think it will be very interesting to see what they've come up with. And I know, Joyce, you intend to attend with Valerie. And I guess your new person, Barry. All right, so I'll send that out tonight after the meeting.
Thank you, Susan.
You're welcome.
And that was it. I just wanted to give sort of a status update on those requests and, maintain communication.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'll leave my contact details here.
Thanks so much for coming and joining us tonight.
Thanks, Susan.
Okay.
Francis, one thing before you continue, please, very quickly. Can member Dollinger please move one seat to his right? Perfect, thank you.
Now we can see you, Ben.
Hey, anybody else who wants to address the board of public comment? Okay, here's that. You're here. 40 Hedges Bank, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Hi, David Kirst from Matthews, Kirst and Cooley, 241 Panago Road, East Hampton. Here on behalf of S&C Property Trust regarding their application for a beach stair at 40 Hedges Banks. We previously submitted DEC and Town Zoning Board approval for the beach stairs. I was just here to address any possible questions the board might have for me. in this regard.
This is a pretty routine application for a staircase on the bluff of Hedges Banks. The staircase extends from the toe of the bluff less than 5 feet onto the beach, and it's retractable. Removed in the winter.
Yeah.
They have ZB, they have NRSP and DEC permits.
This is basically the same as what's going on here. Retractable part makes it almost a non-issue.
The whole thing's retractable, just the bottom.
Just a staircase.
The bottom set of stairs, so there's a landing, and then the last section of stairs is removable.
There, the bottom steps are always wind up with the top. You want to make?
I'll make a motion that we permit this.
All in favor? Aye.
Can you repeat who first and second? I didn't hear that, please.
Bill.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you all.
Opposed? There you go.
Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.
Here are contact details. You're welcome. Have a good evening.
You too.
Thank you.
All right, so it's new business. Start with beach lane construction update and limited pedestrian and vehicle access.
Francis and I met with some of Orsted's team as well as their subcontractors that are handling the onshore construction of the directional boring and stuff in there near Beach Lane. We met the other day, they're getting ready to mobilize. It looks like the week of the 5th of October. The public will have a 10-foot wide access to get to the beach end. And the only issue I see with that is I'm not convinced that in the event of an emergency or in the practice of daily life, 10-foot wide is going to be adequate. They said they can't give any more than 10 feet. My concern is that sounds good if you pull it into a parking space, and as soon as you have a vehicle that has any kind of turning radius, if you have to make a turn inside that space, I'm not sure that you can do it. In the event of, let's say, a fire down there, you're dealing with 8'6" vehicles. These are kind of over-the-road vehicles. So you're literally working with 9 inches on either side, which you can factor in your mirrors on that. You don't have enough room. So I think I'm expecting some members of the public to give some significant pushback here, and rightly so. Now,
Sort of agreed to.
it's been agreed to, they have permits and everything else, but you know what does happen sometimes with this is these agreements are somewhat in a vacuum, in that the people that are agreeing to those conditions and those dimensions are not in a position to really understand what's really needed. If you're sitting there and you're measuring the width between the wheels on your Prius and comparing that to the envelope of space that's being made available, you probably are going to be a little out of touch. So I think.
But I was under the impression, I'm pretty sure that, that this is kind of in the town's purview.
It is in the town's purview.
Sure, they had the fire marshals and possibly even the fire departments looking at that.
I'm not sure whether I would not be positive of that. It's presumptuous. Hey, listen, it's out of our jurisdictional interest. The only thing that falls into our jurisdictional interest is obviously our seasonal letting, which occurs sometime around the 15th of October. will not occur from beach lane. I think what we're gonna have to do there is we're gonna have to plan on taking access to that off the George to Beach access.
But the town would use.
You know, it's shorter, honestly.
Yeah, it's probably better.
The access there. is
Can we,
also-
if the beach, can we make a
What's
suggestion, if the beach cooperates?
Uh,
Sometimes Jordan can't get.
That's
well,
Can we make a suggestion that?
you rock hard highway, really wide, path from the parking lot.
Yeah, now, but, yeah. No,
Yeah.
other than, is there a way we can
okay,
suggest
so
that?
no, but hey, you guys, all right, here's the thing. What are we gonna need access for? We're gonna need access for our fall letting. Okay, the last 2 seasons, our fall letting has resulted in the pond healing over and payment and the public asking us to re-let the pond. So I think we're probably talking about minimally two events down here that we're gonna be doing letting, because their work is going to extend through the winter and into March. All right, the other issue is our seasonal dredging, which we have a contractor as part of our lease agreement with Orsted. They will underwrite and pay for the same that would typically come out of the pond based on the previous year's dredging. It's obvious we're gonna exercise that option this year. So for the trustees,
So we're really only talking about the letting.
we're really only talking about the letting.
So
We do
that-
have a contingency plan there, and there was some implied language or dialogue the other day that there's additional costs incurred for us to do the letting as a consequence to Orsted's work. Perhaps they would compensate us.
So what's the anticipated duration of the onshore construction that's beginning?
I think the anticipated starting first week of October and hopefully wrapping up the end of February. But I would sort of anticipate the likelihood of some depending on weather, some shift on that. We are going to get a guest in that work platform. Is going to be back out in front, but it's going to be a bigger and better work platform than the one that we saw a couple of years ago.
There's gonna be a 500 and something foot boat bringing in
Yeah.
cable.
And we're talking about pretty much starting and completing the onshore construction, the conduit and the whole thing.
Yeah, but I'm not sure about that.
The actual date of the construction beginning is October 3rd. And I'd like to call attention to our website, which I had posted and sent everyone the link. There was this evening, the South Fork Wind Farm virtual open house that began at 6 p.m. So hopefully the public is watching that as well as the trustee meeting. But for those who are watching this evening, you can go back to our website at ehtrustees.com and go to the South Fork Wind Farm. It's the second article up, and it will tell you there's a link there. You can go in, and every week it's updated to bring you what's happening with the actual project. So I wanted to call everyone's attention to that. The power cable will be buried below Wainscott Beach during that construction period.
There was also a Zoom call the other day with the people involved in the condition process, Department of State, DC, those types, which went over the process. And if I'm not mistaken, the actual, it's one thing to put the conduit in. Then they're going to have to excavate the exit pit and then bring the cable in and run the and pull the cable through the conduit. I believe that part of it extends it out beyond February. I thought they're going to send the copy of the PDF the presentation that they gave with the dates on it. And I believe they were talking about work into March and possibly April.
No, I think you're right.
So I think that there will be
there will be inhibitions on Beach Lane itself through that whole period. Because they need that machinery to pull that cable through and then make the connection in the vault at the beach.
By that time, it should be away from the beach, right?
Well,
The vault is a couple hundred feet.
The vault is back from the beach.
John, the vault is 500 feet back from the road end, and then the other pole box or the coffer day or whatever they're using for their interconnect is whatever 1,700, 1,500 feet or whatever it is.
I found the description of that interesting because during the whole process over the last couple of years, they talked about a coffer dam. So actually driving sheet pile and then excavating the sand out from in between. But it seems as though what they're doing, that what their plan is now, they're bringing in that ship that anchors itself and puts pods down. And then there'll be a suction dredge operation with divers that'll excavate the pit. And then they'll punch through the conduit into the pit and then bring the cable in through the conduit within a fairly short period of time. So there's no plan for sheet pile coffer dams now. It seems to be just an excavation, and then if there's need, if the pit starts to fill in the interim, they'll just re-excavate. It seems to be the plan. But it seems to me there's going to be work there, and there'll probably be some restrictions on passage on Beach Lane most of the winter and into the early spring.
It'll probably be narrow or.
Could that leak into closer into the later spring, early summer?
They have
They're
restrictions.
going to restrict the same way we are as far as the piping plovers and that. So
April 1st, they got.
the first on the beach, I think that's their goal, is to have that work completed ahead of time. If they're pulling cables through, or that the cables are not getting pulled at the beach, they're getting pulled 500 feet from the beach.
Or also be 30 or 40 feet under the beach.
Anything else?
That's all I have. When is the turbine going to show up? Is that year, you know?
If you go over it, you run in Connecticut right now, you do a railroad siding and stuff specifically for, I think, being able to handle some components and the wharfs there in the road. So
like just to the right of the ferry? Yeah, against the thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think she said they're like a year and a half away. All right, let's move on to a request from Pamela Keene at 177 Shore Road to approve a sublease of said property to Amanda Capabianca from October 2022 to June 2023.
Sure. You have the sublease package here, which is complete. One thing we need to discuss on this one is this applicant for sublease is not currently an East Hampton town resident. That is going to depart from the rules and regulations for Lazy Point leases and subleases. I think given the packet that she has submitted, there's probably no better applicant to deviate from the rules, because she's an East Hampton town teacher, employee who wants to live here and work here. So while I think she's probably a worthy applicant, I do have a little concern about process and procedure. We typically have a charge to change the rules at our annual meeting, or we should be doing it at our annual meeting in January. I don't think that now is the right time to change the rule. So my sort of temporary recommendation would be on this, if the trustees wanted to, of course, sort of a one-time basis, agree to deviate from the rules and regulations to allow a current non-domiciliary to have a sublease in Lazy Point.
Well, Chris, I had some conversations with over this. And understood the exact same concerns you would have, and that was my suggestion to her, to get a letter from the either the school board or the principal, basically validating her employment in the town of East Hampton, and a pay stub.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I think there's no question that she is an employee of the East Hampton School District. It's just that we're now going to be departing from decades of trustee procedure of only allowing current resident. So again, to me, it's more of a procedural thing. I think she's probably the perfect applicant for this type of thing. I just want to be careful and warn the trustees against setting a precedent of allowing non-residents to be tenants, so.
Well, I think this is the only way a current non-resident could be eligible for a sublet or even a slot in their Lazy Point, is that you actually have to be demonstrating some attachment to the community.
The town's affordable housing regulations require that any applicant be a resident or work within the town of East Hampton. And we should probably, at this point in time, especially with the housing crisis, we should at least be in step with that.
That seems a little broad, though. I mean, I can see working for, school district or maybe a public service job, something like that, but.
So you don't want the guy who works at the hardware store to have a house?
I don't know.
Why not?
Well, we're talking about Lazy Point. We're not talking about general, affordable housing policy in town. We're talking about Lazy Point.
Well, I think the two things kind of run hand in hand.
This is a sublease, right?
Right.
It's a defined short-term
It's not like this is a long-term situation.
And also, I agree with Chris that as a teacher in our public school system, she's an ideal candidate. Instead of turning away teachers and having a lack of teachers in all communities across this country, we should encourage this. And even though this is stepping outside of the box and it's backwards, perhaps we should try to have a conversation about changing the rule to accommodate a situation like this, where we know someone is gainfully employed in this position. She's a great candidate to be a tenant in I feel in this situation in our community, and so it enables her to be a teacher, and we desperately need teachers. So I'd like to perhaps suggest that we have a meeting sooner than the first of the year to talk about changing the rules because this is a reverse situation. It's kind of like FAG, Screen Actors Guild. In order for you to become a member, you have to have a part in a movie or a television show, but you can't you can't have that part unless you're a member. So I think we should have maybe a next meeting and talk about it, and then come back and change this. But I would like to get that in.
I think the important thing here is there's an application for sublet here. You've got a potential tenant who's gainfully employed in the town. School is in session. My understanding is she does have a place until the middle of October, at which point she's got to get out. Is there a legal way of us moving forward with this to get this individual in a timely fashion?
Well, certainly, I mean, the trustees are the landowners. So it's within the power and authority of the trustees, if they want to deviate from the rules on a case-by-case basis, to do so. I don't think we should quickly look at changing the rule without, really looking at it and crafting the right language. I'm not sure we're going to do that in the time frame to which this woman needs her lease. So my recommendation is to have a one-time exception to the rules and regulations to allow this sublease to go through. And then we'll look at it down the road.
Right? Or is it something that will have to wait to a future meeting?
I just want to make sure that these are protected from opening up a can of worms on this. And her lease doesn't start till October 30th. Maybe we table it once. We put together some language in a resolution that not only allows her to sublease, but protects you guys and the trustees. So let's table this one time and I'll work on some language. Does that work for everybody?
Do we need a motion to be made? And if so, I would like to make that motion that Chris.
Not tonight. We're going to table it tonight, Susan.
No, I'm saying make a motion that you will work on that and then we'll vote on it after.
No,
I don't know if we need a motion.
No.
Okay.
Ends, the tenant doesn't want to vacate the property, it's become a problem.
No, can I tell you, you have that with any lease?
I think you only, gotta look into the precedent thing, that's probably gonna be something we wanna deal with before our next time.
That's more of a homeowner concern than anything.
Yeah, and it's being a sublease and a teacher on.
That would be the case with anybody, regardless of where they reside.
Well, yeah, but it's become a big problem in the community, and it's not an easy solution to it.
What, people are not leaving?
Yeah, so do we want to make sure if this is a case by case thing, that they have somewhere to go at the end of that lease? Because it's not easy to find. Does it become our problem, being the landowner and approving a sublease? Maybe it does. Does that pull us into it? It becomes everywhere. Everyone says it's not their problem, but it becomes everyone's.
Well, the lease is between the owner of the structure and the tenant. Sure, we're the landowner, but I don't think we're going to venture into concerning ourselves right now with holdovers and evictions, considering they do have a 30-year lease with us, 35-year lease.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll table it for now. We'll work on some language. It sounds like we're all pretty much in agreement that this is an applicant that we want to encourage in the Lazy Point community. But I think in general, we need a broader discussion over changing the rules. We're already in mid-September, so we're not too far along from the January meeting of working out a rule change. But I think that's part of a broader discussion. I'm a little bit concerned about just works in East Hampton. I think it's pretty easy for anybody to secure some type of part-time employment to say I work in East Hampton as a means to gaining entry and become an owner. But we'll have that conversation several other times, I'm sure.
So, table for now. I think we're also going to have to discuss seasonal leases, year-round leases. I mean, that could make a difference.
Well, currently the rules state that you're only allowed to sublease your property one time in a calendar year. So that seems to be okay at the time being. But what were you referring to?
Who we would allow a sublease to. We have that conversation.
That's part of the whole discussion leading up to a change or an addition to the rules.
Right. I'm not talking about this particular case.
Yeah.
Or further discussion later on.
And I think we would probably engage the Lazy Point community as well for any major rule changes. But we'll continue to have those conversations.
All right, committee reports, water quality technical advisory committee.
Committee met to review water quality proposals, round 2, 2022. There was, let's see. There was about $1.4 million available in this round for water quality improvement projects. There were 5 applications. The internal review took place on August 19th. The internal review is done prior to the full water quality technical advisory committee meets by the planning, natural resource departments and land management, Scott Wilson. That took place on the 19th. Then the water quality technical advisory committee, including our representation, took place on the 31st. So the application, and just to give you the timeline here, I'm just going to tell you what the applications were. Recommendations have been made, and that they've been forwarded to the town board. That'll be discussed by the town board at their September 20th meeting. So I'm not going to talk about what the recommendations were until the next meeting. So the town board really hears it first. They're the ones who pass final judgment on these things. So the 5 applications were, the first one was from Gansett Snuggery in Amagansett. It's the property next to Astro Pizza with lawn in front, buildings in back, for a sanitary system upgrade. The request was for $26,600. The second was from Sag Harbor Village for sewer service area expansion into sewer shed L. That would add 40 properties to the sewage treatment plant. 33 of the properties are in East Hampton, 7 are in Southampton. That request was for $1.648 million. And the third was proposal was from the Oceanside Owners LLC, Hero Beach Club. That's the first hotel on the right as you come into Montauk. IA installation, $605,000. The fourth was from Nineveh Beach Property Owners Association for phase 2 of an green infrastructure project, basically rain gardens for Harding Terrace, Lincoln Street, Taft Place, Wilson Place. Phase 1 was funded in part in the last round of proposals. This proposal is for $191,441. The final proposal is from Peconic Land Trust for Georgia Capon Comprehensive Groundwater Nitrogen Remediation project. And this was proposal was for the siting and design of that project for $234,744. So the total requested money from these 5 proposals was $2.7 million. We'll report next meeting as to what further action is taken on this.
Okay, thanks, John. Next, we have a request from Mark and Sophia Boroditsky of 85 Oyster Shores Road, Suffolk County Tax Map 300-92-02-43 to approve the reconstruction in place of a 3.5-foot by 15-foot retractable aluminum ramp and 4 by 13-foot elevated catwalk with a 25-foot fully mooring system.
So this, I just really wanted to run this by the board to familiarize you with this request, and then basically put it on a back burner. This is a request for rebuilding a permitted dock, in effect. This property is at the end of Oyster Shores Road, the very last property, and it takes access to this long flag to the water, ironically, and the dock is at the end of the flag. The history of this briefly is that there was a request from a previous owner of this property back when for a fairly substantial dock, which I believe was approved by a trustee board at the time and denied by the ZBA. And after negotiations back and forth between the property owner and the ZBA, which I believe took several years, it was agreed that they would submit this basically 13-foot dock with a 13-foot ramp and allow the mooring to be strung off the end of the dock. It's kind of a, anyway, that was the deal. They subsequently got a trustee permit for that. It was installed, I believe, around the time of Hurricane Sandy. It was knocked about and taken out of the water. Subsequent to that, property changed hands, and this owner is now coming into us to rebuild this dock. The dock is in effect an engineered structure. It's aluminum and plastic grating, and the ramp actually slides in under the dock. It's a 3 or 4 foot by 15-foot structure. The ramp slides in, slides out, so they would have to put in piles.
So what is the state of the dock at this point?
It's sitting on the shore.
So it doesn't exist in the water?
It doesn't exist in the water.
And the slide rolls out, just goes on the beach.
Yeah, it kind of slides out from underneath and it goes
There's a
down.
bit of a drop, right, over there from the.
There's a small bluff to a beach, and there's some spartina, but there's a section right where the dock is that's just sand.
And when was it last existing in the water?
I believe in 2012, 13. 2012 was Sandy, so I'm not certain about that.
Honestly, it's a new dock. As far as I'm concerned, once they don't rebuild it, they give up that right.
Well, my thought here was, we've got a moratorium on docks.
Right.
This is not, if this is approved and they're gonna put it in, this is not gonna happen until next spring anyway. Kind of wanted to leave this alone until the moratorium was over. We decided how we were gonna proceed after the moratorium, and pick up on this over the winter.
I just don't understand, at what point is it a new
Well,
dock?
I don't know how anybody else, what they've run across, but I've run across more than one valid trustee permit made for over the years, in which there's no dock in the water.
Is that the case with this?
This is actually recent. I've run across some that
No, but
have never been in the water.
has this dock, was the permit been paid for all these years?
And the others have been too, but some of them have never been. I mean, I think that's one of the things we have to address as a result of our survey and what we're finding.
ZBA determined, what was determined still in effect, right?
ZBA basically is a one-time determination that doesn't have any.
Yeah, it doesn't end.
Trustees, as landowners, have a year-by-year lease on everything.
But I mean, on paper, it would be like it was there.
Yeah. Do we know if the town permit has been renewed every year since?
Town permit doesn't need to be renewed.
Oh, it doesn't? Okay. All right.
Seems like we can't be treating money as a permit.
I'm seeing all the words just in this reconstruction in place. So they're talking about rebuilding it in place in kind. Are they talking about building the exact same structure that's been permitted and has been there previously, besides not being there for the last 10 years?
Well, the structure is there. It's on the beach. It's this engineered dock. You know, the building is just putting the poles in.
So the structure's
attaching
there and not in because it's removable or because it's dilapidated?
No, because it's removable. It's not dilapidated at all.
So this is The dock is removable. It's been removed and they just haven't put it back in place over the years for whatever reason.
Well, they probably have some nested islands that need to be.
Oh, they're poles. No, they're 2 inch or inch and a half.
They're not
Galvanized poles.
Yeah, are they,
They're not there.
okay, so that's the issue.
So you're gonna have to permit.
Needs new pylons to be able to reinstall it.
There are many docks, I think, that we permit that are taken out every winter, and the pylons are taken out every winter. There are also docks we permit that are left in.
Well, and we've had the discussion on whether it makes more or less sense to require the removal of those pylons every year. Inject or drive new pylons in every year, whether we should leave on those removable docks. Remove those, or leave those pilings in year round, and if they're damaged or destroyed, well, at that point, we replace your piling.
I think that's another, I mean, in my experience with this, that's another thing we have to come to a consensus on and bring everybody into it.
But we've had
And I
that
think there's a
discussion.
variety of docks out there that are being handled differently, for whatever reason.
But different boards, different
Yeah,
attitudes.
we should have a policy.
This is not a timely thing, right?
No, as I said, I just wanted to familiarize the board with this application. It came in, I spoke to the agent and, well, you're comfortable with, we're waiting for the moratorium.
I don't think this is governed under the moratorium, quite frankly. This is a project
It's not.
that was permitted.
It's not a new dock.
Okay,
It's
the
not.
permits have been renewed every year. Okay, so this is, in truth, this could come under the heading of maintenance and repair on an existing structure.
If you're permitted, you could put it in, you could put the one there in tomorrow, right?
Look, my view is, this is not the only situation out there like this. And, it's something I think we don't have to, nobody needs this right now.
Right.
And, we can discuss the policies, bring this into the policies and all the other situations out there that we find at one time, rather than, continue a piece by piece approval of something.
This homeowner has a valid permit in place for this dock. And he's just requesting the ability to reconstruct it as is.
Yes. But well,
But we're not doing it this way.
there are docks out there that are not in place now. They're on the beach, or they're stacked on top of permanent docks, a permanent section of the dock. There are floating docks that are stacked on top of them. Some are stacked on the beach. They're not in now. Whether or not they come into us next year with this kind of a permit to replace that, or if they even need to, I don't know. I mean, they've taken their floating docks out. They've taken the pilings out in some cases. They haven't put them back in. They're working on the house upland. They're not using it, whatever reason. 2 years go by, a year goes by. Are they going to come back to us in every case? And, we didn't put it in every year. Therefore, we need to come back to the trustees. Have we directed them that way? Do they,
Are they at risk for losing that right if they didn't renew their permit 1 year out of 30?
we have a policy?
No,
That's why I think.
No, but 10 years, do they?
it's not 10 years.
I know.
A permit.
Our understanding is they came in every year and renewed the permit.
What I'm saying, Francis, is we know that.
Right.
This.
Right.
We don't
There
know
are
that.
others.
Other
Right.
docks.
Right.
And if we I mean, we have to sort of craft a policy first and then fit the situations into the policy rather than make a policy for one and then.
Right.
Well, the policy is going to vary. So, like, this is a situation where it seems pretty clear cut.
Right.
Where you get a situation that's a structure that may have been permitted sometime before. They have not been paying any permit fees on this. The properties has basically transferred ownership a few times. There's nothing left, no memory left of the existing dock that you're probably going to look at a little differently.
Sure.
I know how the DEC looks at these things when you put an application in the DEC. If you can demonstrate that there truly was a dock on the property, that you can document that there is some relic of the dock. Most times you can get your permits for that dock in the DEC.
And the town has had people bring in pictures of the dock.
Yeah, no, I know sometimes through the permitting process of some of these docks, that permitting's been somewhat tenuous because arguments are made that, that aerial photo you're showing, that doesn't really show anything. And sometimes those things end up getting litigated.
Yeah. No doubt.
And we are gonna see some of those.
Does this need DEC approval for this?
I mean, they have, I'm assuming, I think they have DEC approval, but I'm not sure about, but they have natural resource special permit approval from 2009.
I guess my point is, well, this particular application does not need to be decided tonight. I don't see a valid reason for postponing it until the moratorium is up next year, because this is not anything to do with new docks.
I agree. No, it's not, it doesn't have to be postponed. I just thought it was wise to postpone it.
So that
we can deal with all these things we're talking about now in the context of we've completed the survey, or we haven't completed the survey, and this is our next step.
Yeah. Is this a thing that they want to do right now?
No. I mean, it's September. They don't want to put it in now. They're not here now. They want to put it. They want to be able to put it in
already in front.
I mean, I'll throw this out here as a hypothetical. Maybe I shouldn't, but as a hypothetical, I mean, we may come up with a policy that says if a dock gets pulled out, it doesn't need a permit to be put back in. We may say that they have a 1-year grace, 2-year grace, 10-year grace. We might not say anything.
It might be if the condition of the original permit was that it needed to get the sections need to get removed every year. They're in compliance.
There's no language in any of the permits that says you are required to reinstall it every summer. It just needs to be removed every winter. I get your point, John, in that there obviously needs to be a lot of policy discussion, but I think in this particular case, it's pretty cut and dry.
But, to be consistent, they don't need it. There's no pressing timeline here.
We got the discussion started.
So make a motion, John.
There's no motion.
There's no motion.
We just got
Sort of an empty conversation.
Okay.
To 3 p.m. We are moving right along. Thank you so much, Allison, for all your help. We are feverishly, putting everything together, and also to David and Ben. We have our clams. We have just about everything that we need, and except I need some high school students who would like to earn community credit to help us set up and to also take down. the event. Everything is falling into place nicely. We will have clam pies again this year. That's a big favorite. We have 3 great judges for our clam chowder. This year we'll have the Bonnick clam chowder, as well as white clam chowder for those who wish to enter the clam chowder contest. And our judges this year are Florence Fabricant, who is the New York Times food critic. And she has written a book which LVIS has for sale. So that book will actually be to the winner of the clam contest chowder for both the Red and the New England. We have Sarah Davison of Friends of Georgica Pond. And I want to thank Sarah very much for asking Florence Fabricant to be a judge. And we have Marie Valente of the multi-aquaculture program in Napeague. So we have three judges lined up, and I'm very excited about it. I am going to just add a personal thing here. This year, I'm not going to be as jumping around and active as I have been in the past. So if any one of you trustees would like to sign up to help us set up and take down this year, that would be really appreciated. And what else do I need to tell you? We have music, we're just moving right along. I'm going to remind you all again, 3 prizes, 3 presents to go in our clam baskets for winners per trustee. And yes, we do have a budget, but we want to stay under the budget if possible. So if we can get donations from our local vendors and shops in town, gift certificates are really, really helpful, and people get to choose what they like and go to a restaurant when they would like to go. So before you know it, it will be here. We are having the posters made up soon. I think, Allison, we're coming to a close on everything that needs to be changed and fixed, and we'll print those out. And then I would like to ask everyone to please pick up some posters from our office when they come in and bring them to your local shops and have them posted, because word of mouth is very important, but posters help. Also, Ben and David, we have t-shirts coming, and those students and people who will be participating as judges will have a nice navy blue t-shirt, cotton t-shirt to wear. I think Arlene was picking them up today. That says the logo for the trustees and clam. And what else? Oh, this year we have Mr. Softy coming. I'm very excited about that because I think he's going to park in the parking lot, and kids always love ice cream, and it will be a nice draw. And so that's new for this year. And LTV will come to film it. So we'll have some coverage there, and we'll do some ads in our local newspaper to get the word out. But I think everyone's looking forward to it this year, and I'm very excited about it. Anybody have any questions?
Who are the judges this year?
Oh, I just told you. Okay. Florence Fabricant of New York Times.
The clams, after the chowder.
I'm sorry?
Who's the largest clam? Who's the largest clam judge?
Oh, who they always are. John Aldred and Kim Shaw of the Department of Natural Resources. This year, Melissa Winslow will be away, so she will not be a judge for the largest clam contest. If you are coming to enter the contest this year, the rules have changed somewhat, and it's a good thing because it encourages our community to go out and be part of this event. So you get 1 big clam in 1 harbor to submit as your, so dig deep and go get that biggest clam, but it's from 1 harbor and 1 entry. And we hope to see a lot more kids come. And maybe, David, you can encourage some of your students in the school to send some kids to us.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Susan. I was just thinking about making sure the lawn is mowed a few days before.
That's going to be done. I've ordered the garbage cans, the tables from the Parks Department, and part of that effort will also be the lawn and everything tidied up and cleaned up. They do a great job. Thanks very much to, oh my God, Tony from the Parks Department. And so, yes, we will have that taken care of. And We have a great cute tablecloths, tents to be set up. I don't think you were there last year, David. I think, did you have Coast Guard Station event or something, the lobster dinner, maybe?
Yeah. I wasn't a trustee either, so.
No, but you might have come by. With the
Yeah, I didn't, no, I don't know.
Okay. All right. Well, it was a lot of fun last year.
I'll be there this year.
Okay.
So the categories are adult and child, one adult, one harbor, one child, one harbor. No commercial.
No commercial. Nope. Nope. Recreational. It's and we want to give everybody a chance to win. So you get, that's why one chance, you know, we don't want one person winning everything. We want to be ecumenical here and distribute the goods, the prizes, and the fun. So
Down the number of clams to touch.
Sure. That takes a while. That would be a good thing.
So Paul Roman, Chef Roman, will be making his clam pies again this year. And he will also be making our Mrs. Roman's Bonnick clam chowder. So that will be available. And all of this, of course, is free to the public. And I want to emphasize that it's our trustee way of reaching out to the community and getting them to come and know us and have fun. And there'll be music by Lynn Blue Band, so there'll be some hopefully dancing and a lot of laughs, smiles.
Susan, do you know, have you spoken to the newspapers and do you know when this is going to go in? The reason I ask is this has always been, people could enter clam from any harbor, and many people, well, certain people have done that year after year. I personally favor, not doing that necessarily. So I think it's moving in the right direction to limit it to fewer harbors so able to be entered from. There, and I think it's good to, if it will increase participation. But if what I'm driving at is, I'm not sure how, people are going to know this. And I would think that, maybe the newspaper article about the giant clam contest can really stress that. So that people...
Well, as soon as, yeah, I hear you, John, and I agree with you. I think that once our poster is done, we will. I will be contacting the East Hampton Star, of course, the East Hampton Press. Our local papers will have this information as a press release, if not the poster itself in an email. So I will be contacting the newspapers and we will emphasize that as an important change in the rules. And I think it will encourage people, as you just said, encourage people, we all feel this way, encourage people, families, kids to enter, because it is a community event, and we like to share the day and have everybody walk away with, if they are the winner, with a prize and so forth. So that will be, yes, taken care of with the newspaper, and that will be done soon. As soon as I can get that poster finished, I will be asking everybody to please come by and take, 10. I know that sounds like a lot, but there are plenty of places in our community that are willing to let us post them. And I always frame them for our office. We have stores that are definitely very supportive of this, and the shopkeepers themselves come and participate. So there will be media. Definitely. I want to do something at WLNG. I asked David if maybe he might be available to do a public service announcement. And I'm sorry, David.
Yes, I'll do that.
Yeah, you did right back to me. So we're reaching out to WLNG for a public service announcement. We're also, I've contacted LTV, as I said earlier, it will be filmed, but also to put it on their scroll or do a public service announcement, maybe then. maybe Ben and David, you might want to go and do something at LTV together. I'm just not able to come with you.
Okay.
That's something, Ben, you could do with David, LTV? And maybe if I come up with some dialogue, we could even do a nice dialogue between the two of you for WLNG. You could share the radio spot.
Good. That'd be good. Happy to do it.
Okay. You know what? I'm going to ask you both if you want to come up, if you want to work together and come up with some language that's a quick, no longer than 30-second spot, announcing the event and inviting people down, kids, families.
Okay.
All right. I would like to have a meeting actually by Zoom if we can do that. Our committee.
Yeah.
Right. So I'll send out an invitation and get a link. Any particular days, let me know when you're available, and we can just round up some final details here. Okay.
Do that this week or next week?
Yep. Okay. Sounds good.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Susan.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you.
Okay. Does anybody have anything else before we move on to administrative?
On the roads, I can see all of us got a complaint about dead trees and
Dead white pines.
the white pines. It's weird. Where? They're down off the full run, I guess. Cross Highway.
Those white pines on that peak.
I went down there and it's like 20 something white pine.
How big a red?
They're good size. I think.
Well, it's good size.
Let me see if I can.
Yeah, but it's nothing. How big a red?
That's one of the smaller ones, but we can't tell. That's one of the, this is like 14, 15 inches. Some are about 2 foot thick. They're 40, they're tall trees, tall straight trees.
And they died suddenly?
They're all, there's a couple growth pines. Is there any legal evidence?
We got it.
Maybe those attack white pines.
We called the DEC to see if there was, to see if there. According to,
Yeah, he showed some borings. It looked like a large thing, but sometimes that post mortem.
yeah, it's, according to the Andes, the ones that are killing everything in the Northwest will attack white pines occasionally, but they're not usually successful because they can get in, but they can't get out. The boats can't get out, so the infestations don't get huge. But it looks like most of this stuff is on. I don't know what the language is of the easement or the we gave it to the homeowner. Because the homeowner, he wants the trustees to cut them down. They look like they're on trustee property.
Yeah, typically like when we grant an easement.
They have a maintenance
Let's say,
requirement.
yes.
So that would have to be investigated. Yeah, I mean, we have to see who's
Yeah, easement.
yeah, I mean, I guess we must have given them an access
Maybe not.
way
There's a
to,
lot of them out there without it.
yeah, but this is, there's 20 something there.
Yeah, no,
It's pretty good size, are they all blocking the road? So the guy can't get to his house? There's no,
It's gonna fall on its property.
well, I went out there and looked, there's nothing's gonna fall on his property. But they could theoretically, fall on the road, on the access way.
Road down by 114.
No, it's, yeah, these are a lot bigger, I mean, these are more substantial than that. Most of,
decent shipments.
What? No, but
Well, we're gonna sell it.
I guess we could, can we check into the access agreement? And make a determination whose responsibility it is? I would say that's, if it was a road, if it was a man, he should do that. Yeah, we don't miss the road committee.
Francis, can you check the streets out?
I'll check them out. I'll check into the easement.
And, if we're gonna have to hire somebody to take them down, I don't know if we should try and see if the town would do it.
Well, the trees are tall enough. The guy's worried about the trees falling on the property. It's probably the case where they'll need to be sectioned.
Yeah, well, a lot of the property is ours, so you could probably sort of just drop them, but it's gonna be a mess of, it's gonna be a lot of stuff to take away. Well, you don't have to take it away.
The nice thing is they should be.
Well, if it falls on our property, if we decide to take it down, if it's on our property, and we drop it on our property, we don't have to take anything away if we don't want to. Oh, we did on Edwards Hall Road, we didn't take anything away.
God.
Yeah, push that away.
Excuse me.
All right. Move on to administrative, payment of the bills. We have Staples, $59.38 for office supplies. East Hampton Marina, $169 for gas. Optimum, $167.66. Riverhead Building Supplies, $16.67 for railroad tie, for the kayak racks, and $194.10 to East Hampton Marina for gas.
I make a motion to pay the bills.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed?
Is that for one?
Who made the second? I'm sorry. David?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Those two rails. And minutes from the meeting of August 22nd, 2020.
I read them, submitted them, and I believe I sent everybody a copy of what an edited, or I should say corrected or suggested items might look like in any one of the meetings that I have done, so that you can see there's no change to any information, but rather just a proofreading, if you will. So I submitted those to Allison.
So do you want to make a motion?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes of August 22nd.
There's a second.
Thank you, David.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, and I believe everybody was sent out the, what is it called? It's from Norwalk, Smith.
The audit.
The audit, yes. We're gonna have to approve, go to accept.
I don't understand an audit.
It was sent out to everybody, wasn't it?
Yeah, I sent whatever I was told.
When was it sent out?
It was, I can go back into my email and see when I sent it. It was either the end of last week that I sent it to the board.
Yeah.
I definitely.
I will have to go look for it.
Do you all need me to resend it?
Probably.
Okay.
All right, anybody have anything they want to talk about? Anyone want to make a motion to close?
Motion to close.
Second. All in
Who
favor?
said second, David?
Tim. Hold on, guys. Anyone talk to you?
Francis, are we done?
Hey, is anybody on the phone line?
No callers, thank you. Are we done?
We're done.
We're done, okay.
Thank you very much.
Who made the motion?